talk to Elizabeth at the booth, and if during the break any of you want the lecture tape, it's $6 plus tax, and that will fill you in on what I call the basics, so I don't have to repeat all of it today. But we've handed you this extra form before we give you the manual, because I only Xeroxed 100 of these, and there was 300 and some people at the lecture, so I didn't have enough to hand out, so I put it on the board. But this actually is what we put on the board at the lecture, okay? Now, we also have at the back of the room, for those of you that take notes and didn't bring your own notebook, some 3-hole punched, college ruled, 8.5 by 11 paper. If you would like some paper, raise your hand and John will bring you 2 or 3 sheets. I happen to be a note taker myself, and I think it's rather important that people who can't always remember everything, or if I put a drawing on the board and you want to copy it, and I'm going to go rather simply with the drawings today for the simple reason you are going to get a manual, which is several pages. And we did not 3-hole punch this because some people don't, want it 3-hole punched. We're going to be handing that out to you in a few minutes, but I did want to give an introduction first. Now, is there anybody in the room that does not know what a Rolodex card is? Okay. On your manual, there is a Rolodex card. And when you get that, I would appreciate it if you would fill in your name, address, and phone number, and in the lower right-hand corner, put a little triangle so I know you attended the Trinity workshop. If you will do that, you will go into my VIP list, and you will get mailings from me regularly once a month.
I understand everybody's supposed to give you those tickets.
Oh.
Then you get
Yeah. 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 Okay, John will pick the tickets up at break time, and then that'll make it easier. Thank you. We already have yours. Okay. What we're looking at is that the people who do not know what a Rolodex is quite frequently write on it upside down. And it goes into the Rolodex with these 2 little holes in the bottom, so please fill it out right. Now, the things that we mail out from Sedona are not only happenings in Sedona, but conferences that I might be going and lecturing, or my husband does, or other people that we know that we feel might be of interest to you, because we have connections all over the country. Also, we are going to be putting out a newsletter which will have our products, our services, articles, pictures, called the Oak Creek Oracle. Oak Creek is supposed to be the most beautiful canyon in the United States, and somebody from Switzerland said, well, it's not the most beautiful one in the world, but it's second best. So anyway, when you get that, if you'll fill that out, and at the break time just hand the Rolodex cards into us, you're on what I call my VIP list, which means you get all our mailings. Now, I also ask you to do this. When you get the mailings, just look at it. If it isn't something you can come to, pass it on to someone else. When we get the Oak Creek Oracle out this fall, it will have articles that you might want to share with other people, or you might want to have them write us and get on the mailing list too. Okay? If everybody will just close their eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath, just let it all out. Take another deep breath, let it all out slowly. And now picture a rainbow in the sky and see the vivid colors against the blue sky. See the white fluffy clouds floating in the distance, and get a feeling of lightness and serenity, and know that the Rainbow Bridge is a part of you. It is the Antakarana, or the bridge from you, the personality, to your high self. One of the things that we do with our Trinity process is not only to connect you to the other people you work with or will be working with in your spiritual development, but also to help you connect to your high self so you can speed up on the spiritual path. Now take another deep breath and let it out very slowly. And let your rainbow just expand into pure white light. And know that you and your high self are one. And open your eyes. In moving into our teachings, I do want to give you a little bit of the background. Over the past 29 years, I've done over 47,000 immortality consultations, or what some people call past life readings. However, my consultations are 3/4 present life counseling so that people know where they are on the path, what they're supposed to be doing in this lifetime, and the other quarter is their 6 most important past lives. We had a very nice meeting, didn't we, Violet, last night? And she asked me a couple of questions, and the next thing I knew, I was giving a lecture. But it was sharing with the people who were there some things that they seemed to be interested in. And those of us who've been in the field a long time happen to have that bad habit, you know, of just the switch turns on and you can't turn it off. When we're giving a formal workshop or a lecture, that's okay. But I have enjoyed talking to people not only in the atrium at breakfast and lunch, but also in the halls, in the ladies' room, and over at the brewery, and found out that this group, of all the groups that I have worked with over the last 29 years, probably has more evolved people than I've ever run into before, and that's the truth. Isn't that wonderful? And what it is they are the searchers looking for truth beyond the truths they already have. But I also found out that so many of you have come here looking for the next truth or the next thing to help you on your spiritual path. It isn't just the curiosity that we used to run into 20 years ago in various expos and things like that, but it's the true seekers and the true searchers. So what we're going to try and do today is to condense a 3.5-day seminar that we used to give into this 3 hours. Therefore, you people are going to have to speed up and be speeded up. And what I mentioned the other day in the lecture is so you can take this material back with you to wherever you live and then share it with other people. And there is no rule that says you have to have 3 people or 6 or 9 or 12. It's just easier if you do. But this is the secret, and I almost told Violet last night, but I decided to save it until today. What the secret is this: if you have one other person and you want to sit in a Trinity and you do not have a third person present, you may ask for a master teacher, your teacher, or John or Patricia Diegel, or anybody that you can think of that you feel will add to your energy. What we're going to do is to tell you this: there are no set rules that cannot be changed, expanded on, or you can improvise. We're giving you a pattern that works, and it's all on this little chart that we just handed out. And if you follow the pattern, you will never make a mistake. Now, instead of having to take 3.5 days to run you through this, we're going to run you through the entire pattern so you can experience each of these things today. So this is going to be more experiential than it is lectures. We are going to give you a few of the pieces of information that you need and take you through what we call a couple of processes. Now, what we teach are principles, patterns, and processes. The principles are those principles that go with every major philosophy and religion, which is that man is a part of God or God is a part of man, whichever way you want to look at it. Therefore, ye sitting in front of me are gods and goddesses. Also, therefore, you do not have any limitation unless you limit yourself. You also have to learn some of what we call the other principles of life. Now, we have something that people have been throwing a word around for years called karma. 90% of the people in the world think karma is negative. It is not. There's good karma as well as unfinished karma, which is called sins of omission, things you didn't do you should have done. There is also the negative karma, which is called sins of commission, which are things you did that you shouldn't have done. And if you do not handle it through the law of forgiveness, then they keep nagging you lifetime after lifetime till you get it right. Now, basically, that's my philosophy. So therefore, when you're sitting in Trinities with people you know, quite frequently something will surface that you have sublimated or they have and you haven't talked about for years, and you should have. So you have to be aware that sometimes something will come up that you have to handle right there. And because you have a third person present, they can be the arbitrator and help you understand each other better. And this happens quite frequently with husbands and wives, parents and children, brothers and sisters, best friends, and miscellaneous enemies, and also lovers and people you've never even seen before. Because we don't come together for no reason. We come together to evolve. So the law of evolution is the more that you spiral up in consciousness, the tighter the spiral gets and the quicker the old unfinished karmas surface. So you're taking a chance when you get on the spiritual path and decide you're going to evolve. Now, we all have different things that we are into. And I think with this convention, we have had more diversity of speakers and more diversity in the booths and things than I have ever seen. And therefore, we've covered a whole spectrum of things. So you've had a lot of input of information. You've had a lot of input of new ideas, new concepts, new foods that you could eat or foods you shouldn't eat, things you should play with and things that you shouldn't play with. And I'm talking about all of the various kinds of instruments that they've had here. And what we feel as you evolve, you get exposed to these things so that you can utilize them as you need them, but don't get addicted to them. This is one of the most difficult things for people to get past. It's like if you eat too much of a food over a period of time, pretty soon you can get allergic to it. So where we have crystals and we have all these different instruments, they are to be used as a tool to help us to the next level. But sometimes, like the toys of childhood, we outgrow them. So it's important that you know that. It's the same thing of sitting in Trinities. We found that our students that we got started in this got addicted to it. I mean, really addicted. And they were recruiting everybody they could to come and sit in Trinities with them. If you get too many energies over a period of 1 week sitting with you, like 2 people over here on Monday and then 2 more people on Tuesday and so on, you can get a little cross confusion of different personalities, and then you forget what you had solved with the Monday people and you're bringing it up on Thursday when it's not their problem at all. So I'm just saying, use it with a little bit of caution. Don't overdo it, and don't get yourself so hooked on it that you forget to meditate or do the other things you're supposed to do. Now, I'm going to give you very quickly my version of what meditation is. I have studied with many different teachers. I have met many of what we call the avatars, or the great ones that are on the planet now, and without exception, they all have a method of teaching meditation that is slightly different from each other. That's good, and it's good to try them all to see what works for you. But it all came down to this, for me, after talking to a great many of them, is meditation is a discipline, not a trip. Meditation is to go into the silence, to clear your mind of all the subconscious garbage so you get above it, so you can pull in higher knowledge, so you can pull in the light, so that you can commune with God. Now, you don't tell God what you want God to do for you. Leo Russell wrote a book, and somebody mentioned it the other day, God will work with you but not for you. Okay? And it was very interesting because if you allow yourself to be disciplined, isn't that a terrible word? Just really used to irk me. But to meditate twice a day, starting with 10 minutes each time. And the secret I found from all of these gurus was this. It's a process to clear your mind of the garbage so you can get above it and make that final connection to the high self. So we ask the people who sit in Trinities to work with their group by going into a meditation first, and then that clears everything, and then they can go on and play all the games that there are to play. Also, when you're sitting in meditation by yourself, what you have is a busy stream of consciousness, which are all these random thoughts that you don't even know you're thinking all the time while you're driving down the street, while you're taking a bath, whatever. Even while you're watching the movie or a television, you are still constantly thinking, because everything in that movie or everything that you pass by in your car reminds you of something, and it keeps triggering in and triggering in. When you get into meditation and you get a thought, I forgot to get the bread at the store, don't shove it back. Send it on through. Pick it up later. Put it on the list. Go the next time to the store and get your bread. Won't hurt you not to have it for one day anyway, or milk or whatever. So send this stuff on through so it isn't laying over here to snag you later as a negative. We all have these little feelings of guilt about things we didn't do, and that's what always surfaces first. Just send them on through, and pretty soon you will find that you've been in meditation, not the 10 minutes you planned, but 30 minutes and you haven't thought of anything. Then you're really in the silence, or in the no thing, or in the real now. And God does not come to you with a big booming voice in the middle of your meditation and give you a message. And neither does Kuthumi or Hilarion or any of the other hierarchies. That isn't how they reach you. What it is when you can get into the nothing or the no thing, then later in the day, you get what I call ahas, and an inspiration comes and you think, gee, if I tried it that way, maybe it will work. Or maybe I should call so-and-so. And what it is, you've opened up a conduit to other levels of your mind, and you start getting inspirations. You can also bring through, like Edison did, Walter Russell, and many of our other geniuses, Tesla, etc., you can bring through new ideas and new concepts that have never existed on this planet before. It's opening up your mind to the universe. So think of meditation, and if you do it twice a day as a discipline, it keeps you in balance for the next 12 hours. So it's better if you do it 12 hours apart. And this includes your sleeping state. You will get higher level dreams. You will remember your dreams better if you have meditated sometimes 3 to 6 hours before you go to bed. Depends how long you sleep also. And when you get this busy street of your mind and the stream of consciousness out of the way, all of your creativity starts to flow through. So besides teaching the Trinity work, John and I have been teaching meditation for the last 20-some years to a lot of different people just in the way that I explained it to you. Now, we have other types of meditation, which are called receptive and reflective meditation. We have guided imagery, which is what I just took you through to see a rainbow. Now, sometimes people don't think they see that rainbow, but it's there somewhere in your mind, locked up, and if you think about it, then sometimes you cannot snag it. It's when you move into non-thinking that all of a sudden you see a rainbow. And if somebody says a word to you that describes something, somewhere in your mind at some level, that picture is there. Either of the last rainbow you saw, or a picture of a rainbow that you saw, or one that you can imagine. Now, imagination is not false. Anything you can imagine has happened somewhere in time, or is going to happen somewhere in time. And remember the other day I said that the past lives and the future lives are equally important, because although you can have records of past lives and you can read about them in history books and things like that, your future lives you cannot read on the book level because it hasn't been printed yet until you have created it. And then it does exist in 3000 AD, 4000 AD, or whatever, or somewhere in between. And once you've created it, because you are the creator, if you don't like the way the script's turning out, you can rewrite it. And that's the nice part. Now, as far as past lives are concerned, you can also rewrite those scripts. And one of the processes we're going to give you today is how to do that. In other words, releasing the karma. Somebody asked me yesterday, matter of fact, it was last evening, why didn't I give people their negative lives so they could clear up their karma? And I said, because in 2 hours you wouldn't have enough time to do it. And there are people who do regressions, and it's a great work in the psychological field now. And I was on the original board of the Association of Past Life Researchers and Therapists, and we have created an organization there that every year we get another 100, 200 people who join it, who work with regressing people. And by doing that correctly, people also can release those old karmas. Now, I personally do not regress people anymore, but I give people the opportunity to prove to themselves in the Trinity work that those past lives did exist. Because you can see them, you can re-experience it, you can feel some of the feelings that you had before, and you may even discover why in this lifetime you're allergic to a particular food. Or like in Sedona, a lot of people are allergic to juniper berries. Now, when I heard they made gin out of juniper berries, I thought, well, gee, they have all of these vaccines. Why can't people just drink a lot of gin and get over their allergy? But nobody liked that idea. I don't like gin myself, so it's all right. Now, moving into this at the level that we're going to be working this morning is to take 3 of you that probably are not sitting together because you know each other too well, and move you in with 2 other people. And if I move you in with somebody that you do know, that's okay too. But what it is to get you used to the flow of the energies that works with this Trinity process. Okay? Now, this gentleman had his hand up, and what was your question, or do you remember it?
Yes, I remember. Is this session being taped?
Yes.
Good.
And she said there will be 3 tapes available. Okay? Now, we're also videotaping it. And what we're going to do is put some of you up here in what we call the hot seat, like over here and there, so he can videotape those 3 groups, and I will be taking the microphone around so that he can hear what you're saying. And it's okay because we all want to be a star sometime or other. Okay. Now, John, if you will get the manuals and just pass them out. Yes.
A lot of things you're saying.
Speak a little louder.
What you're saying
Yes.
Would that flow with it?
Yes. Now, the Rainbow Bridge book by the two disciples, all right, was published in Los Angeles in the same place we had our center, and I did the proofreading on the last edition that they put out in about 80-something. So isn't that interesting? And Josephine had died, but I did meet her husband down in San Marcos, and they still have a Rainbow Bridge group going down there. So it does work, okay?
We're going to play Cosmic Chinese Laundry here that goes, no ticky, no shirt. So I'll pick up your ticket now as I hand out your packets, so if you'll get those out.
And James already gave me his right here. Okay. Now, we're going to take a short break here. So if you'll turn off the video and the tape for a moment.
Did we get the one with the name on it?
And the only thing we have copyrighted is something that's called The Cosmic Mandate, A Blueprint for Immortality, which is the title of all of these charts you see like that. And it was just to copyright the name The Cosmic Mandate, A Blueprint for Immortality. And again, you can use that on anything that you print. Like at the bottom here, we just would like the consideration of you people saying it's based upon that, because it is. But I feel that we're in this to share at this time and to give people as much as we possibly can. Yes?
We get the temperature somewhere between hot and cold. It's now getting too warm again.
It's still on 70, I think.
Someone changed it.
They did?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Noise.
Okay. All right. 72. It's the energy there. Okay. Now, everybody has their manual in front of them, and you have this extra little sheet, right? Okay. On the manual, if you would please write your name on the cover, any place that you want to, so that you can leave it on your seat when you go for a break, and somebody else won't pick it up. Now, originally we called the Trinity Power Work the Triad Program because it was much more complete than just doing the Trinity seminar. Just so you'll know that this is the tip of the iceberg. John and I created not only our original Trinity seminar, but we created a whole series called Transformation Now. And we did one whole weekend on past lives only, one whole weekend on clearing your present life, and one whole weekend on creating your future lives. And in doing that, we found out all of the different patterns and processes that could be used. And it was a lot of fun, and we taught that several times in Honolulu, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. A couple of times in Las Vegas, as a matter of fact. And we stopped doing that after a period of time because so many new things began to come through. This chart that we have given you sort of covers all three of those, but in a mini form. So let's just go back and take a look at the chart, and you will notice that we have put in here on the left-hand side fire, earth, air, water, and ether. Now, the other word for ether is akasha, and it happens to be a Japanese term. For your information, and I try and give you as much as I can, you can live without your thyroid, but you cannot live without your parathyroids. Because your parathyroids, which are on each side of your thyroid, are the four elements. And what we had channeled through years and years ago is on the right side, down here in the lower right side, is the fire element. That parathyroid is fire. That's the beginning of everything. Above it is earth on the right-hand side. Then you move across, and your parathyroid that's above on the left side is air, and the one below is water. Then across, invisible, between these four is akasha, or ether, that holds them together. When I gave the lecture, at one time a medical doctor who was in the audience came up afterwards and he said, it's very interesting, but whenever I take people's thyroids out, he said, I've always gone in behind to take them out instead of coming in straight forward, and I didn't know why. Isn't that interesting? But those are the 4 elements that keep our body together. So it's important that you realize that your voice box, which is in this area, those 4 parathyroids, and your thyroid, which is likened in most of your training in the gurus and so on, is your throat chakra. So it's what comes out of your mouth that you create. So what we want you to write down today, and you can write it down anywhere in here you want to, there are some things you need to give up in your vocabulary. I don't and I can't. I don't know means you stop learning. I don't care means you stop feeling. Or back in your childhood, and this is one of the things people have picked up in their processing in the Trinity work, is grandma, before you were born, kept saying, well, I can't see the point of all this, and I don't see what you mean by that. And the kid comes in with bad eyesight. Because you got to make grandma right, so you can't see and you don't see. So think about that. Or you hear somebody say, I can't stand that. You know, pretty soon they have knee or foot problems. So think about looking at these things as things we use every day and don't even realize that we are creating with our voice our own life and the things that happen in it. Now there's 3 other little words that are also negatives: if, when, and but. I'd really like to do that if I get enough time. And then you never have enough time because you said if, which means you don't really think you're going to have the time. It's your excuse. Okay, I'll do that when I get around to it, and you never get around to it. And I'd really like to go with you to the store, but I'm expecting this very important phone call, so I can't go, because you really don't want to go to the store with them, you see? So you make up excuses which aren't always true. And then you know you've lied, and then you start regressing a little. Okay. Now the other 3 words that one of my clients brought me just a year ago are would have, should have, and could have. Now I'm not going to try and put those into sentences. I want you to think about it and see how many times you have used those to get yourself out of something that you do not want to do. Or you use them as the excuses for why you didn't do something you should have done. Okay? Now, yes?
A lot of us who do counseling have decided that there's a word called YABUT, which immediately stops looking at any new ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, but. And they'll say, yeah, but mine's different.
Yeah, yeah, but, yeah, I like that. Thank you. YABUT. All right? Yeah, but. Good. I always like to have things added. Okay? Yeah. All right. We also have one very subtle one, and that is, will I ever achieve this? Now, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between the word ever and never. And if you write down a question that says, will I ever, you're really saying you don't think you're going to be able to accomplish it. It's the same as if you said never. And so it will deliver up to you nothing. See? So get rid of the evers and nevers. Now, in moving into it, listen to these phrases among your peers, your friends, your relatives, and what you do is say, erase that. Don't say cancel it. Canceling is a big stamp that says cancel, and it sometimes obliterates what's on the paper that's good. You just erase that phrase and you re-say it in a positive manner, and it has totally then wiped out the negativity without wiping out everything else. Now, having been through many of the metaphysical trainings, and I'm speaking of both the religious ones like unity and religious science and so on, and then all of the psychological trainings. What I've just given you has taken me a lifetime to learn. And some of you have learned it on your own too, and it's important that you start erasing negative things that have come out of your mouth and then rewrite it, you know, by speaking it properly. Allowing the throat chakra then to get clear, then you won't have thyroid problems. You won't find yourself blocking yourself when you meditate. Do you know that some people start to meditate and they get all the lower chakras open, and when they get to the throat chakra, they start to cough, they start to choke, and they stop right there. So this is the most important place to unblock. That's why in our Trinity sessions, we tell people, no matter how silly it sounds, no matter how nothing it sounds, if you hear something in your head, speak it out to the group. Because we used to call it learning how to channel, but because the word channeling has sort of become a no-no in many areas, because there's too much Dolly Dingle channeling and pablum and so on, it's like if there's something that needs to be spoken, speak it. Your other two people then will help you work on it if it's something you need to have something released. If it's something very positive, they need to hear it too. And when you learn to unblock this throat and say what's coming through you, and you become what we used to call, and still do, a clear channel, then you will find words of wisdom coming out of your mouth and not pablum, okay? So that's important. All right. This first one at the bottom, which is an Aries energy, and it's part of the fire chain, and it's number 5 in our blueprint, is a very interesting concept. And that is, you have to make a commitment to sit with 2 other people for spiritual growth. And you're like a trident. You're 3 totally separate individuals, but with one purpose in mind, and that is you've all agreed for spiritual growth. Then after a period of time of sitting together, the 3 of you begin to bond together in a positive way, and you become the Leo energy, which is number 3, and you are becoming a Trinity, or people with the potential of a common purpose, which is not only your spiritual growth, but sometimes a project the 3 of you can work on together for everybody's enlightenment or edification or whatever. And then number 7, which is Sagittarius, also a fire sign, is once you have become a Trinity or a group, you will find out that the 3 of you can be separated for a week or 2, and one of you will call the other one and say, by the way, I just thought this up, or I just got this idea, and the other person said, so did I yesterday. What time did you get it? And they'll say 3 o'clock. Well, that's the same time I got it. And you will find that telepathy is working even when you're not sitting together. And that's when it really gets to be exciting, is because you will find out that you are a good receiver and a good sender. Now, it doesn't matter who got the idea first, okay? But you should share it with the 3rd member of your Trinity in case they're still a little blocked. So all 3 of you have the same information, and it doesn't matter what it's about. It's just to know that you are now developing the skill of telepathy. All right. Now, the other exciting thing that happened, and somebody asked me this question last night, and I said I would answer it today. That is that if one of you has to go out of town, the other 2 should not stop meeting. If you have a group that's meeting regularly, once a week or twice a week, put their name on the other chair and they're with you. Now think about this. A pyramid can be 4-sided or 3-sided. And when you have a Trinity, you have a 3-sided pyramid. So if you are here in Colorado at 9 o'clock in the morning sitting in a Trinity, and one of your people decides to go to New York, and that's what, a 2-hour time difference now? They're still meeting with you 11 o'clock their time, 9 o'clock your time, even if they're walking down through Times Square. They're still with you in essence, because there is no such thing as time up here at the capstone of the pyramid. We had groups in Honolulu, San Francisco, and Los Angeles that all sat in meditation, again with a 3-hour time difference, and were getting the same things. You know, in other words, they were meeting with their Trinity, but in a meditative state. Then we found out even if they were walking down the street, they were getting what the other two were getting once they had learned to synergize and merge minds. And this is what's marvelous. To the point that some of them, and this happened on 3 different occasions that I know of, after they'd sat in that Trinity, went out and bought the same outfit in 2 different stores in 2 different towns. You know, I mean, in other words, one of them bought it and the other one walked in and said, gee, I really need to have that. And they show up for a Trinity later and they're wearing the same outfit. Now, that's a compliment. It means that you've really been together, okay? Now, the other thing is once you finish these 3 at the bottom, that's just sitting and learning how to share the energies, then we can move you up into what we call the Virgo sign. And Virgo's watchwords are to analyze and to synthesize. So it means the 3 of you being willing to share your knowledge with each other will end up not 3 times as smart as you were when you started sitting together, but 9 times as smart. So we get a 900% energy by having sat in Trinities with the same 2 people, if possible, over a period of time. Now, this does not preclude that you can't sit with 2 other people and work on a different level. Sometimes the people have sat in Trinities not only to expand their consciousness, but to work on a project. Now, you've heard of think tanks and brain trusts, mastermind groups, all of these things. It's the same principle in a way. 3 heads are better than 1. 3 heads are better than 2. But you don't go on to 4, 5, and 6 until you have learned for 3 people to merge together and get this 900%. Then when you add a 4th person, guess what? You quadruple it again, and then again and again. Okay, now, working with that and taking you through these processes is the first thing we're going to do today. And we're going to do 5, 3, 7, and 9 here today with you to start. Then we're going to give you the process, which is number 1, which is a couple of techniques for present life clearing so that you can help each other with any problem you have at the present time. Now remember this, the greatest thing that you can do for your spiritual growth is to forgive. And it's probably the hardest thing to do. And I don't care what your friend, your spouse, your relatives, your neighbors, or anybody else has done to you, or whatever your fears are. Remember this, they can't do it to you unless you allow it. There are ways of protecting yourself. That is also one of the things we will give you today when we get into number 1, which is called a ring pass knot. And the ring pass knot is so exciting because it's an ancient druid technique, and it's spelled RING-PASS-NOT. And Diane Fortune wrote about it in her book, but she didn't tell you how to do it. So I had to sit in a Trinity with 2 other ex-druids from past lives that I was with, and we went back and remembered how we did it then. So we're going to give you that process. And you are then divinely protected from all negativity. What it did for me was being in a car, going across the street, and my brakes went out and the light was red, and I went across the street, and a sheriff's car was coming that direction, and he went through me and ended up on the other side of the street. I wasn't there in his universe because I had that ring pass knot around the car. Now, you can put it around your apartment, your house, by putting it around yourself first and then spreading it out, and then you take it with you in your car, but you cannot leave it home. So if you leave somebody at home, you better show them how to do it to keep the house protected while you're gone. Okay? You also cannot leave it around your car out in the parking lot. You know, you just sort of have to know that car is yours and it's divinely protected. When you're in it, it's when you put the ring pass knot and you just stretch it out, or you can pull it in. And the other secret of that is called invisibility. When a person has learned to use it, and this is the exciting part, they can become invisible in a grocery store or a negative place and walk through it unhampered, unseen by anybody else until they're out of the negative area. But you have to pull it in here. Now, how many of you are into hugging people? All of us, hugging people. All right. Now, when somebody who has negative vibes walks up to you to hug you, what do? If you have the ring pass knot around you, you can allow them to hug you, but this is what you do. You pick up your purse or a clipboard or something like that and let them hug you. You are protected, and you can put the other arm around them, and they cannot get inside of your ring pass knot. And they still feel good. You can give them energy with one of your hands, either one, but they cannot get to you and steal your energy, and that's what some of the huggers are after. Oh yeah, what I've done sometimes is just like this and let them hug me. Say, you know, or do this, or this. Yeah, just to yourself. And you can still give them your other arm and they feel good about it. But they cannot steal your energy, and that's what they're after. And we used to call them psychic vampires. And that's okay because they need to be loved too. But you can give them love without losing your energy. Now, I just wanted to mention that to you as one of the processes that will then help you from ever getting into a negative situation and can save you a lot of problems. When we get into number 8, will be the past life process. I am going to put you with 2 people, and I've been checking you out as I've been talking, that you have been with in past lives. You wouldn't be at this conference if you didn't already know some of these people. And that's going to be fun, okay? Now, then when we finish those, then we will take the next 3 up above, and I'm not going to talk about those now. We'll wait till we get there. The Trinity program started with a teacher that I had who had me sit with her and one other person in Trinity's every Friday for 2.5 years as I developed my ability to channel. It also increased my ability to give past life readings. It also increased my knowledge in many, many fields. She also gave me the Alice Bailey material to study, and she said it took her 25 years to get through all the books and understand them, and I could do it by sitting in the Trinities for 2.5 years. And at the end of 2.5 years, I graduated. When we created the blueprint over in Hawaii in 1974, I found I could take all that Alice Bailey material and put it into the blueprint, and it fits. I also found a few things that she left out. And the reason for this is every guru leaves out something that you have to discover for yourself. Then they know that you have made it through the door, or what we call the eye of the needle. In other words, you have to make one of those discoveries for yourself. They're not being mean when they don't tell you everything. Now, one of my favorite things I'd like to share with you, and particularly with William, is most of the gurus that are on the planet today are not real gurus. They are teachers. They have a lot of knowledge, but they want to gather to them followers because they get energy from their followers, return energy to them, but they keep going because of the energy of the groupies. Does that make sense to all of you? Okay. Now, most of these gurus will tell their followers that there is an ultimate secret. And when you have achieved a certain level of awareness and they're ready to move out of the body, whichever one of you out there has risen to the highest level, they will give you the ultimate secret. So this one guru in India told this to his followers, and he had about 4,000 or 5,000 followers, and then pretty soon he got a little higher, and then he had about 400 or 500 in his final ashram. As he was getting ready to make his transition, he pointed to one young man and he said, "You are my successor. I want you to come with me, and I'm going to give you the ultimate secret." Took him into the other room, and he said to him, "The ultimate secret is to tell them there is an ultimate secret." And I've always loved that, and a guru, by the way, told me that. And what it is, that's how most of them keep everybody tied to them. Now, look at it from another positive standpoint. There is a certain time in your life when you do need a teacher, or you need a mentor, or you need somebody to direct you. And it's all right to belong to a group. It's all right to study with one teacher. But when they tell you not to study with anybody else, run the opposite direction as fast as you can go. Because the real ones will tell you to go out and get as much information from others as you can and bring it back and share it with us. Because they don't pretend to know it all. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're working today with something, as I mentioned on Friday, I want you to share with as many people as you can to get them sitting in Trinities, because I was told by 1990 I was to start doing this work again in different areas to get other people who were ready to take it out and share it with as many people as they could. John and I this next year will be publishing a book called Trinity Power for the general public. And there has to be a lot of people ready that people can go to learn how to sit in the Trinities. Because you can't just get it out of a book. You have to have two other people working with you to get the energy going. We're hoping to put as much in the book as possible. But there is a thing called yeast. And you cannot make a good loaf of bread unless you have that yeast starter to move into the loaf of bread, unless you like unleavened bread. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is to mention to you that today is the first day of the rest of your life. Tomorrow will be the first day of the rest of your life when you get to tomorrow. But what we're going to try and get you to do today is to discover something that will speed you up on the evolutionary path. I cannot promise you instant enlightenment. I can promise you this: it will speed you up in a safe way. It will also give you a tool to work with your groups, with your friends, with your relatives, and also to help you understand the total you better. Now, you are a suit of clothes sitting in front of me right now with a name tag. The real you, however, is the soul who has worn many suits of clothes. But this is the suit of clothes that's going to get the benefit of what we're going to teach you. Okay, it is now 20 minutes to 10. What I would like all of you to do is to stand up, and I would like you to move to this corner of the room. Yes? I have it up here. It's James's. He gave it first. Ladies asked about it because she was writing when I was pointing. So these are your 4 parathyroids plus 1, which is invisible. All right. Now what we're going to do is to get you started, and if you will listen carefully, John will be watching those of you on that back side of the room. I'll be watching those here to make sure you do it right. I do not want you to have any papers in your lap. I want you to sit with your feet firmly planted on the floor to start with. It's called grounding. And I want you to move close enough that you're playing kneesies. And put all your papers, your clipboards on the floor under your chair, please, immediately. Hey, papers on the floor, clipboards on the floor. This is not to be written because this is very simple and you can remember it. This is moving you into phase 1. I want you to turn your left palm up on your own lap and your right palm down. Now, do you find any dyslexics in here, John? Now, move your right palm over and put it on top of the other person's left palm on their knee. That's why you have to sit close. Now, grasp hands. Okay? If your hands are cold, they'll warm them up for you. Now, this first process is forming the 3 of you as a trident. And I have deliberately put you in with a group that you've been with in past lives so we can run you through all of these processes in this group. Then we're going to move you around for the next 3. Okay, so you have a little variety. Okay? Now close your eyes. You're holding hands, and it's more comfortable if you rest it on somebody's knee than try to hold it up in the air. You can lean forward a little bit. This is going to be very easy. I want you personally to picture the color violet. Picture it in your mind. See your entire group now surrounded by the color violet. It is an emotional color. It's a feeling color, and it's to merge you at the level of becoming one. And now I would like you to squeeze each other's hands. That is releasing the violet. And now picture the color rose, which is on a higher vibration even than violet, and it is a physical color, which means at the physical level, you are now one energy. Just picture the rose. Picture it totally surrounding your group so that you are one energy, one entity. And now squeeze hands and release the rose. And now I want you to picture the color gold, like in a gold jewelry. And see this mental energy now surrounding you around the head area and becoming a dome above your group, which is total protection. And now see it as a dome raising up above your group. And no matter where you are on this planet, whenever you think of these other 2 people, that golden dome will be your mental connection to each other, even if you never see each other again after today on the physical plane. You are connected at a synergic level. You have been down through time together in past lives. You've come back together in this life to be each other's catalyst to help you move into this higher level of consciousness. This golden dome can stretch around the world. It's unlimited, and it's your mental telepathic connection to each other. And now for what we call the healing process. Again, squeeze hands. And now I want you to think of the color emerald green as in an emerald stone. It's transparent, and it is the color of creative healing. Emeralds are not only valuable on the marketplace, but the color emerald green is the most creative healing color we have on this planet at this time. Now think about a pyramid above you, the 3 of you, in an emerald green stone. Now you can make it 1 carat, 10 carats, 50 carats. It doesn't matter what size each of you imagine or create. But it will always be there, because now we're going to separate the 1 pyramid into 3 pyramids above each of your heads. Your own personal creative healing energy. A 3-sided pyramid, by the way. A couple of you pictured a 4-sided. There's 3 of you there, so it's 3-sided. This is your connection to the healing forces of the universe, the healing energies. It's there for you to use in any creative work that you choose to do from this day forward. Whether it's painting or writing or sculpturing or crafts or building a house or planting a garden or working with other people who need healing from the sound of your voice. This emerald green pyramid will be with you as individuals, and you have on the etheric level a pyramid that again will tie you together as needed in this or future lives. This emerald green color is the doorway to the future. Now, as a group who has merged at 4 levels, you've merged at an emotional level, a physical level, a mental level, and now a creative level. We have one more thing that we would like you to bring into your group. And think about this as all of you connecting now to your high selves. The color that will bring that about is the cosmic white light. So a shaft of light coming from your high self down to the crown chakra inside of your head is now connected by the power of the Trinity. Each of you with your own individual connection to your high self. And from this day forward, those of you who had not already established that with the energy of meditation now have that connection to be used for clearing, for healing of self and others, and to bring you to a higher awareness. We are now moving into the new age. It's really already started, this Aquarian age. And the people of this planet who can bring in the lights, bring in these beautiful colors, can affect hundreds and thousands and even hundreds of thousands of other people by their presence. Just walking through a room, you can be a catalyst to raise the consciousness of people, whether it's the grocery store, the airplane, airport, the train station, or a parking lot, or your local church, or your group. You will carry the light with you from today forth forevermore. Now, we have moved you through 3 of these squares, and with the cosmic white light being brought in, we've now moved you up into the 4th square, and this is where you can begin to communicate with each other. What we would like to do is to let you know that the person who has their back to the inside wall is the mental chair. The person on your right, which is either a gentleman or a lady who happens to be sitting in for the 2 missing gentlemen in the group, will be able to carry the physical energy, the grounding energy, if you will. The person in the left-hand chair from the mental is the emotional chair or the catalyst. That's the person that is the most apt to feel the energies from the other people, because in your emotions you feel this energy and it really starts to work through your body to quicken it. Now the physical energy is the one that is going to keep you from spacing out. However, if the other two are powerful, they may help you space out a little, so expect most anything. As you're holding hands, you recognize now that there is energy pulsing through your arms and through your hands and through your body. You are exchanging energies of a high level. You are creating a perfect synergy. You have become one. Now, because you do not have to keep your eyes closed as you start to bring through information, as you feel comfortable, let your eyes open, keep the hands together, and what we would like you to do then is to look at, there is one thing in your life that you would like to have changed or raised, or, and by raised that sometimes means getting rid of, or raised in consciousness. So you have two choices. One thing that you can think of that you would like the other two people to be able to share with you and maybe give you an answer. So the person who is sitting in the mental chair, we would like you to share first what is one thing that's in your life that you would like to have removed. And remember this, please don't ask to lose weight, because if you do, you can always find whatever you lose. Ask to achieve slimness. I learned that and it really works. Okay, now moving into something else. If there is someone in your life, you don't have to tell them the whole story. Just say, I have a person in my life that I would like promoted to a better job in another town, and therefore you're not creating karma. You always have to raise that other person in consciousness, and when you can learn to love them, they get removed from your life to something better for them and better for you because they're no longer there aggravating you. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, those are a couple of the clues. Sometimes you don't have anything you want to get rid of, but you would like to bring something into your life of a positive nature. So if there is something that you really want that's of a positive nature, we're going to be doing that in the manifesting square. So do save that. This is just one thing you would like to remove. But if your life is perfect, then just tell them you would like to have more love and more energy in your life. You know, something like that. Okay? Now, let's start with the mental chair. It's anyone with their back facing the wall over there. That's called the inside wall. This is the outside wall over here. Okay? So you just say what you would like to have removed from your life, and the other two will maybe give you an answer of how to do it. I've given you some clues. Okay? Now, I'm going to move around to a couple of the groups, and if I stick a microphone in your face, know that you're on candid camera. Okay?
I would like any denial and confusion in my marriage to disappear, and that we have total oneness and understanding between us.
Now, anything you can think of that will help her for that or with that. Just one word sometimes will do it.
Sensitivity
Okay?
to the needs of each other.
Okay?
Trying putting yourself in his place. That's very difficult, but if you can do it.
That's beautiful. Now, the other thing is we can talk a little louder because we are being recorded. But the other thing is to always keep the communication doors open. Don't go into a pout or, you know, shutting the door on communication.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now, we're going to move after the mental chair to the one on the left, which is the emotional chair. Okay? That's the person over there. Yes. Yes, you're holding hands because you're a synergy right now. The emotional, yeah. Please keep holding hands. You're building the energy. It takes a little while. Okay? Michelle? What would you like to have removed?
I would like strength and guidance and wisdom for right use of the love and light that is coming through. And I would also wish the best for everyone.
Okay. Now, this is a positive statement. Is there anything that you would like to have removed? Would it be lack of communication with certain people? Would it be people who don't totally understand you? You know, that type of thing is what we're talking about in removing. You gave a beautiful, what we call metaphysical statement. But what one thing would you like to have removed from your life? It can be a habit, it can be a thought form, it can be a person.
Yeah. I think I would like to have any lack of understanding removed.
Okay. All right, that's beautiful. Now you two give her a couple of ideas that you have about how she can remove that lack of understanding.
You need to always project a positive response to others and always project a positive feeling, even though they may not accept it. It gives you validity with what you're doing and feeling.
Beautiful, Patty. Thank you. Lloyd?
I was thinking along that same line. Accept and forgiveness and overlook some of those other deals.
Okay. Now, the thing that I can add to that is to, when you ask to have lack of understanding removed, you also are asking to have limitation removed so that you become unlimited. So you have total understanding of other people's needs. Okay? Thank you. Now, your turn, Lloyd. Okay, your turn.
No, I've already done mine.
Well, and you have to do it for the camera.
Have to do it for the camera?
Just say again. and we'll see.
I would rather not.
You would rather not,
yes, thank
okay.
you.
How about you sharing what you had then?
I just have a very unhappy husband, and I would like for him to see the light. Just,
All right. Now, what were their answers?
we haven't done mine yet.
Oh, you were supposed to go here first and then here, but that's all right. All right, then we're in the right place.
Okay.
Say, now, you heard what she said. He is unhappy. She wants to have his unhappiness removed. And you don't say anything more. They're supposed to give you the answers. Okay? So, Violet, what do you feel?
I feel he's not as unhappy as you are. That's my feeling.
You're unhappy because he's unhappy. Okay?
Perhaps more than anything, his unhappiness is a part of a period of need or growth, okay? That's my feeling. And as I said, maybe he's not as unhappy as you are.
Okay. All right. Your 1st
I'm
name is?
Chuck,
Chuck.
and I'm sensing, Julia, that basically he needs more freedom and to go ahead and grow in his whatever way he needs to, and therefore maybe free yourself and not try to push so hard. Yeah.
Now, what we call this when the other person appears not to be in the light, is that everybody grows at their own pace, and we cannot push them up the mountain ahead of us. But what we can do is move up the ladder and allow that person then to have another rung to move up to. But if you stand still waiting for him to come into the light, you're not going to move forward either. So you climb up to the next rung and leave the one below you vacant so he has something to climb up to. And that's the whole secret of evolution. Does that make sense? So you have to keep on growing and not worry about him not following your path, because not everybody's path is the same. Does that make sense?
He just needs to dump a bunch of anger and that.
Yeah, okay. He doesn't need to. He needs to move up, and the anger will dissipate. So you move up, make room for him to move up so he has more understanding, and then the anger will actually disappear. See? Because we cannot talk to him in the same language we talk to you yet, but soon. Okay? Yep. Okay. Now, for those who have finished with the first two, if you haven't already, move on to the third person who's in the physical chair. If you've already done that, just hold hands and communicate a little bit, and don't break holding hands, because we're going to give you one more process. Okay. You've already done yours?
Yes.
Okay, would you repeat for the camera and the microphone what it was you asked to have removed?
Actually, it wasn't really a removal.
Okay, but tell us what it was.
We didn't really get over to that yet. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's do that. What would you like to have removed then?
Well, I'm moving out of a home.
Okay.
Where I'm now living with an ex-husband.
All right.
And took 2 years to move out of the home.
All right.
And a year later, I moved right back.
All right.
So I'm creating my own home.
All right. Now, what you need to take a look at is you cannot go back unless there is unfinished karma.
Mm-hmm.
So you have now finished the karma by your own statement. So what you're going to release is if there's one more little tiny itsy bitsy karma during this next week, it will be removed. So then you're unfettered, you are free, and then the place you're going to move to is always there and it's the right place. Mm-hmm. And you get to move there at the right time. Okay? Now, Julie, what would you like to add to that?
To what you've said?
To what she really needs.
Oh.
See, if whatever came into your mind, not what I said, but whatever came into your mind.
Oh, well, I guess what I'm thinking is it's okay to finalize and to close the door and to feel like everything is finished and you don't have to go back.
Ever again.
Ever again. Yeah. It's okay not to go back.
Yeah. Now, she then needs to place exactly what it is she wants in the way of your future. So you need to write down a few things that you want, and once you've written them down so you can see them, then speak them out loud so you can hear them, and then the next level of awareness opens up for you. And you have left him better off than you have found him. Just know that. And the karmas are finished. Okay, Alex?
That's what I was going to say. As long as you affirm for him that he too is reaching his highest good, that clears up a whole lot of karma that you could drag along with bits and pieces with you.
Now the thing I mentioned to the group over here, think about life as a ladder and you're moving up to the next rung. Therefore, the rung you've been on, you're leaving vacant so he can move up so you all win. Everybody wins that way. All right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we have had a most interesting thing because some of the people still did not quite understand what removing something was about or releasing something because we have been trained so much in this positive thinking thing that we're afraid to say anything negative for fear we might create it. But we're showing you how when something negative is said, you can turn it around and make it into a positive by having erased the negative thing, by having removed it. And we've had 2 experiences here where we have told the people that if you move up into the light, into the next rung of the ladder, then you leave the rung below you available for that person that is being removed from your life also to move up. Too many of us make the mistake of working at trying to do it for the other person, and we stop and mark time thinking we're being a hero or a heroine to help that other person. And if we just leave them alone and move up, you won't have a badge that says sucker on the back. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Mine is exactly that.
Okay.
I need more freedom from my mother. It's my responsibility to break those last few threads.
And the only thing that you need to do is to move up to the next rung so
Right.
she can move up and you both win.
Yes.
And that works.
Instead of trying to drag her up.
Yes.
That's
and you
what I
can't.
did all my
Yeah.
life because I cared so much because she didn't want to drag her.
All right, now we have a little process here which is going to give you a slightly different energy. We would like you all to stand up, release hands, and shake your hands now because some of them are probably a little tingly. And we want you to move 1 chair to the right, to your right. It's called Ring Around the Rosie. You already came up with your own answer. Huh?
Getting warm. We all agree on
Okay, John, they need the, yeah. Yeah, what it is, also, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to mention this. As you're doing this type of work, the room may be the same temperature, you're heating up because you're building up energy. Okay. But we will give you a little air now. Okay, touch knees. Okay, now don't hold hands yet because we're going to do something a little different. When you meditate, every one of the real gurus that I have communicated with have all said that you put your thumb and your first finger together. In our esoteric palmistry, which is also based on our blueprint, your thumb is your crown chakra and your first finger is your throat chakra, which means you've agreed to give up your little will to the higher will. And that's why they have you do this. Now, the process that we're going to do next, which is to get into a past life that the 3 of you have shared, is we're going to do something a little different. And this has worked over the tens of thousands we've worked with. You take your crown chakra thumb and you take your second finger, which is your pineal gland or your third eye, and you put those together, which connects you to your past lives. It's, no, not the ring finger, the second finger. It's the middle, you know this symbol? Sorry about that. But you put that together with your thumb and it becomes positive.
Does it matter which hand?
Both hands. Both hands. The second finger. No, it is not. That's why we're giving it to you here. Now, what you do then is you put your palm face up on your own lap with those two, the thumb and the second finger together. Now, you are already synergized with the other 2 people. You've already made this kind of what we call positive affirmations about changing something in your present life. Now think about your time track as a Mobius strip a figure 8 laying on its side. And I'm going to draw a big one on the board for you. You ladies just picture this, okay? Now, by the three of you being together and you've already raised your consciousness, instead of going backwards and running into a negative life which you can't handle in this short a period of time, think about going up into a higher level of your mind together, running around your time track until you find the life that you have been together before. So we're going to go back to the earliest one. Now, I'm going to ask John to take these 4 groups that are up there and walk into the group and tell them where they have been together before. Now, it could be Atlantis or Egypt or Greece or even Lemuria. He will tell you where the place is so that you can stop on the proper X. It's up to you then to close your eyes and to see whatever you see. And the person in the mental chair is going to be the one who starts talking about what they see. Okay? I'm going to give the assignment to the other groups and tell you where you've been together before. Now, we also have a third teacher here with us, and I didn't get your name. Okay? What we're going to do is have her also walk around and listen in. Now, what we usually do when we're working with this, so that we can walk into your group without interfering with it, is we will put our left hand on the left shoulder of the person in the mental chair, and we will add to what you're saying what you need to know or what you didn't quite pick up. As soon as the mental chair finishes describing what they see, the other 2 can take turns, and what we want you to know is what you did together. Were you related? Were you in a common career? And what did you accomplish? And it doesn't take very long to get this information if you allow it. If any of you get stuck, we'll walk in, and our third teacher over here, if you see something in their heads, you have my permission to put your left hand on their left shoulder and tell them what you see. So as you walk around the groups, if they seem to be stuck, just say, you know, what it is. Listen a little bit to what they're saying first so you sort of know what country they're in, okay? Or follow John around over there and do that. Okay.
I know it's kind of difficult the first time you do this to get into this because we all have a consideration about being right and not making fools out of ourselves and being wrong. What you get is what you get, right, wrong, or indifferent. I have found that if you can relax and simply let it flow with love, that you will probably get a very high level of information. And remember this, you may be sitting with people that this is the only time in this embodiment that you're going to have a chance to share. So you want to let that flow, even if it sounds crazy to you. I have always found, even when I was doing my readings in the beginning, the craziest things that came through that I would sit and think to myself, if somebody told me that in a reading, I'd not only punch out their lights, I'd tear up my check or put a stop payment on it. Invariably were the people that came back and said, you know that thing you told me? It happened exactly that way. So you can't sit in judgment. What you get's what you get. Okay? So relax and play.
Yes. She's slightly askew there, so she should.
All right.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Yeah, nah. She's sort of northish. If you feel a little offsides, then she should move her chair straight in. She starts, then you get to ask. Okay. Now, I'm going to whisper in her ear. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to whisper in the ear of the mental chair what country you're going to, and that's all. If I happen to get a time period, I'll tell you that too, but I'd rather you got it. And remember, Atlantis went down in 10,900, so don't try and pick yourself up in Atlantis after that. That's BC. Okay. You are going back to the creative temple in Atlantis during the Golden Age. That's back in the 20,000s, okay? First life that the three of you were together is a little more recent than some of the others because I am getting the three of you in Europe in the Middle Ages. Okay? And it's in a positive time. And the three of you are from three different countries, but you've come together for a conclave to stop a war. Okay? Tell me what you're seeing.
It's some kind of temple.
All right.
It's built of rock, and it's surrounded with other buildings. And I mean, the main part is in the center of a
All right.
large courtyard.
Does the building have pillars?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what makes the
All right.
inner part. And I keep seeing a fire set up in a
Like a bowl type of...
bowl type
yes.
thing, you know.
All
on a
right. Now that's
tripod or
called
something.
the eternal flame.
Mhm.
Okay. Now which one of you was the keeper of the eternal flame?
I can't distinguish. I see several. They're all women.
All right, but there's one
around.
that's in this group that was given the assignment never to let that flame go out. Okay, it's Terry. Now, she's also supposed to be carrying the torch in this lifetime to light the way for people again. Okay. Now, since we gave you this assignment and you were the high priestess there, what was it that Paula did in that lifetime? I'm not going to give you any clues. Just want you to let it float into your head, Nancy.
Terry was the keeper of the flame.
Right.
I see Paula walking
Okay.
toward the flame, toward the center of the...
Okay, now it's the time of a ceremony, so what is she supposed to be doing?
She's carrying something.
All right.
She has a cloth draped across her arms, just above her wrists.
All right.
But there's something more. I can't quite...
Okay. All right, now Paula, can you pick up what you were supposed to be doing in that lifetime as a priestess in the Temple of Isis in ancient Egypt?
I feel like somehow it's some kind of communication thing.
All right.
I
If
don't,
I use the word oracle?
oracle. Yeah, that other beings are, that I'm talking to them and we're all talking.
All right.
We're all communicating.
Yes. Now, you have the towel draped across your arm because it's part of the ceremony to prepare you to sit in this chair where the communication will start. Now, I want you in this lifetime just to let yourself be back there and let the message come through you that came through you in one of those ceremonies. It's not very long, but it's something that this group needs to know now because it still fits their lives.
I see that I think I'm talking about some kind of a spiral.
Okay.
That's going down.
All right.
Maybe that's what's happening to humanity or something, but our job is to make the spiral go
Reverse.
up. Reverse.
Right. Okay. Now what I want you to do is just see if you can't move into that body, because it's your body too, suit of clothes you wore, and see if you can give the message like you gave it then. Say it out loud. I can hear it. It's not a long one. You were right about what you said before, but you described it as Paula instead of as the priestess.
Right. Okay. The spiral of time moves to the void.
All right.
The spiral of time moves to the void. We are light. Our beingness I see the picture, I don't know how to say what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Our beingness
Okay. Now what I got is the spiral being reversed takes all of you back into the light. So you
Yeah.
had it, but
Right.
it's like you see the picture of the spiral, but what you said in those days is that when we reverse the spiral after it goes down into the void, we three must reverse it and raise it back into the light.
Yeah, okay.
Isn't that
Yeah.
great?
Yeah,
Now
you got
Terry,
it.
just add whatever you feel. Go ahead. Whatever you want to say it.
I see the snakes. Well, the intertwined snakes is the spiral going the one way, and then the spiral going back up, which to me is the Star of David, which is the energy of the triangle from earth up and from heaven down.
Okay,
and integrating.
Also, the snakes intertwined represent the Kundalini, so it must be raised in your own body as you bring down the light from above. So you're actually teaching spiritual principles that are still valid today. Isn't that great?
They haven't changed.
They haven't changed. Truth is truth.
Truth is truth.
Truth. Okay, now I would like each of you to pick up the names that you had in that lifetime. And if you don't get your own name, ask one of the others. I'm going to move to another group. Okay? Okay, what have we gotten here, Patty?
I have nothing but a purple light, and occasionally I see her image.
Okay.
She has told us that we are possibly in a white marbled room with a
Okay.
crystalline light.
All right. Now, where are you? Tell them the time period, did you?
No.
Michelle?
It's Atlantean.
Well, I kept seeing water splashing up, I thought, at
Mhm.
one time, up and all. But all I have is a purple light. At first it was swirling.
Now that's getting into the lifetime. What we want you to do is be able to see the light. The temple that you're in is by the ocean. It is too early a time period for Atlantis to be going down, so there's no fear here. Okay? Now whenever you have the purple light, it means you're serving humanity in some way. Okay? Lloyd, what did you get?
Nothing.
Okay. Did you get any feelings in your body since you're in the emotional chair?
No.
Do you feel happy?
Yes.
Okay.
Contented maybe is a better word.
All right. Now, this temple that you're in, Michelle, is what type of a temple?
I get a sense of healing.
Okay. But also I mentioned something else to you that people did there, which is what creates the healing. It's a creative temple. and people go there to get a healing by doing creative work, you know, for themselves and then to help other people. It's sort of like passing on your wand. Okay, now each of you did a different type of creativity in that lifetime, which led to your own personal healing, and then you stayed on in the temple to become one of the instructors, to show other people how to become creative to heal themselves. Now, what I'd like you to do is, if you can't pick it up for yourself, each of you try and pick up for the other what type of creativity. And remember, there are no wrong answers. Remember, creativity is artistic at all levels. Okay?